Law.
Okay, our second case tonight, Kelly Rothwell. Kelly Rothwell from Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, a police cadet and just weeks away from graduating with her class at the Police Academy, was last seen Saturday, March the 12th, 2011. Her live-in boyfriend, David Perry, is a recently retired New York correctional officer. According to accounts, Perry had a very bad temper and was controlling and abusive with Kelly Rothwell. Kelly Rothwell was going back to the home she shared with Perry on that Saturday to inform him it was over. She told him she was moving out and on with her life. That is the last time anyone has heard from her. David Perry was the last person to see her alive. Joining us to discuss her disappearance is her sister, Laura Rothwell, and Monica Kaysen, founder of the Q Center for Missing Persons and a Crime Wire contributor. Welcome, ladies.
The ladies aren't here. What we're going to do is we're going to wait. I'm sure that the Blog Talk Radio switchboard's a little jammed up because it was not acting correctly, so they might be having difficulty calling in. I think that we should talk about this case because Denny Vito, it's been a national case. There's a police cadet out of Florida.
Yeah, I've been on television and radio. I know this case very, very well. I've been on television and radio numerous times about this. With all the top pundits across the country, the lawyers, prosecutors, everybody, and it's it's an interesting case, and that's why I wanted to throw out a question to when she gets here, the sister Lauren, because the last time I spoke about this case, just to update our listeners, David Perry hasn't answered any questions. He won't give a DNA sample. Obviously, like I just said, he was the last person to see her alive. Right after her disappearance, very shortly after that, he fled to New York, which left everybody to wonder why would he do that at that time. And also the scuttlebutt, which the police would not answer, was if they were having a 24-hour-a-day watch on him. Every time the police were asked about it, they would smile and say, we can't answer that question, which means that they're watching his every movement. And again, the last time that this case was brought up across the country on the TV shows was that because of him feeling he's being followed all the time, he's been pretty messed up. He's looking frazzled, they say. He was nervous, scared. Those kind of things were thrown around by people in the know close to the case. So that's the background of the case, and I guess once we get...
Well, Monica Kaysen is with us, and she begins a search, and again, Monica's with the Q Center. Any information on this case or any cases that we've presented in the past, the number of the tip line is 910-232-1687, but I think she can tell us more about the search and what's going on, and she's also a Crime Wire contributor. Monica?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. We are gearing up to head down there the first of next week, and we'll be searching for about 7 or 8 days straight. I was actually just getting off the phone a few minutes ago and lining up some canines to bring in, so, we can't wait to get down there. I'll be meeting with law enforcement first off and coming up with a plan. It'll take me a couple days to get all of that together, and then we'll start bringing some resources in and hit the ground and hopefully can eliminate some space for this missing girl here and just maybe generate some interest, some tips, leads for investigators. We're hoping to rock the boat a little bit when we get there.
And we've just been joined by Lauren Rothwell. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
We were talking about, the case as far as the search. Tell us about your sister, please, so for our listeners.
Oh, Kelly was...
Yeah.
Hold on 1 minute. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble hearing you. Ooh. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. So you wanted me to tell you about Kelly?
Yes, please.
Okay. Kelly was just an amazing person, probably the most beautiful person I've ever met. She was enthusiastic and happy about life and positive and did well at everything she accomplished.
Okay. And Monica, how are you working with the family in this case? They contact you after she goes missing. What's the procedure then for the Q Center?
Well, basically, they contacted us. Of course, they, had to get all their paperwork in. They had to properly get her registered, and we worked on that, and we, finally got everything together. And then, our first contact is, to talk to different family members. I've interviewed Kelly's friend down in Florida a couple times as well, and then just, reading a lot about the case and what have you, and made contact with law enforcement, come up with a goal plan. One of the goals is to work with law enforcement. We're going to be getting a billboard up very soon, maybe even more than one. Also, we talked about that, and then we're going to be launching a website this week as well, which will be helpfindkellyrothwell.com, and just opening it up to getting her information out there, but also giving a place for people to come and respond with whatever information they may have. And it's just vital to keep, her case out there. She kind of, when she first got missing, kind of hit the news, and then it's kind of died down somewhat, and it comes back every now and again. But we're hoping to get it steady and keep it steady until we can, get some kind of resolution.
But you have a track record in this area, Monica, with a case you solved, and you are all too familiar with the area, aren't you?
I'm very familiar. I was born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida. I grew up on all the beaches, Indian Rocks Beach. I've actually got many, many pictures from that area, and hung out there as a child. I'm very familiar with the whole run, out of St. Pete that, heads north as well, and all the bridges and all the different areas that people go. So I actually can't wait to get down there and start, mapping out some things and getting some facts, that aren't public in the case, so I can come up with an effective plan, and hopefully that will aid law enforcement. And I just want to get down there and get moving on this case. She's been, it's still fresh enough that people's memories are still good, and we'll be at a good place. I'm hoping to really bring forth some information, and in addition, eliminate space as we go along. We're gonna, like I said, we're not even going to leave Florida until probably the 16th or 17th of May, so we'll be down there a good, solid time, and to be able to get some things done.
Hey, Lauren,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, and this is from information that I had from, like I said, speaking about this on some of the TV shows. The information that was brought up was that this Perry guy, he was very possessive, controlling. He texted her incessantly, and he didn't like her hanging out with anybody. Can you add any more to that? Am I correct with saying that?
That's what I'm hearing as well. He didn't share a lot with her family in Maryland about their relationship, but as far as I know, he was controlling over her. Everything you're saying is correct about him. Sheena had never said anything to me about him being physically abusive, but just from the things that I noticed when he was around, when they would come visit, or when I was down there visiting, something always seemed off about him.
And what's his location now?
I don't know where he is.
Okay.
He's lawyered up, is all we know.
Yeah.
That's about it. Denny?
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say we hear about these cases all the time, unfortunately, and this has the potential to be another one of these intimate partner situations that end in tragedy, when usually the woman finds herself in an abusive situation and isn't able to sever that relationship in time, and something bad happens. Now, I'm not rushing to judgment on Mr. Perry here, but all the ingredients seem to be there, because that's what we hear continuously about, violent temper, very controlling, and those types of issues. So it seems like the ingredients might be there for this scenario of an intimate partner situation.
Well, he was the last one to see her, and so, his pattern, his behavior all points to someone that is angry. I want to ask Lauren, she must have gotten pretty courageous to be able to just think that she was going to go back and get her things and move out and tell them it was over with. She must have felt pretty empowered, didn't she?
Yes. Yep.
Because from what you learned, she had a game plan. She, as in so many of these cases, she's got a game plan. She's feeling pretty good. She's going to graduate. She's weeks away from the academy to be a law enforcement officer. So she's feeling very, very strong. And she goes back there. She's telling her friends that after lunch or when they had eaten, I'm going to go and tell them it's over with. That's it. Obviously, she didn't feel the need to take other people with her, and she should have. And, she goes in, and that's the last time anybody sees her, isn't it?
Mhm. And her being in the academy, I think, really empowered her and pushed her forward to where she wanted to be in life. And that
did you see her differently than she had been before? Did you see a change in her?
From the few conversations that we had, I did. She just seemed in more control over her life and where she wanted to be at.
And what about other relationships? Was she starting another one? Was she making new friends and things as she was going on with her life? Because that's what it seemed like she was doing.
Yeah, she definitely made some friends. As far as being in a new relationship, I don't know anything about that, but I think she definitely did have the support of her friends in Florida.
And are you in constant contact with them? And as the Q Center makes their way down there, the family's going to be able to help with more information. I mean, this has been very tough for all of you. I think a lot of what's really upsetting is because we're in Maryland and everything's being done in Florida, so it's hard for us to really have any kind of control, or it's hard for us to really know what to help with being so far away. But we're willing to do anything that we can, being, a thousand miles away. But the search is a big help for this case because, they're getting down there at the right time. I mean, you were very fortunate to call. A lot of families, Monica, as we know, don't call you, and this is still the time where you can capture information and possibly, recovery.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of times we get calls later on after things calm down and families, start to search on their own or someone, refers them to us or what have you. So they were pretty much in tune with us about, week 4 in her disappearance, and so we were already starting to get information and good information together and trying to get down there. And, Kelly just graduated about a little bit over a week ago. The family visited there for that. They attended her graduation, and I had talked to the family about that it was important for them to go and to keep her out there. And they also, her friend Donna had put together a candlelight service afterwards. This weekend, I believe that the people up in New York are putting an event together for her as well. So there's many people still involved. They just needed some direction and guidance, and we hope to be able to provide that as we go along as well, because, as you know, our organization is just not, about searching. It's also about advocating and awareness programs and help guiding the families through this journey, because it is a journey, and it's an unknown journey. They don't really know what to do. So, we've discussed with the family different goals and things that we want to work on, and they're doing everything they can in their part as well.
Monica, I'll direct this question to you. Certainly Lauren is welcome to jump in if she has an answer. A question came up in the chat room about whether during the investigation so far, Kelly was picked up in her activities the night she went missing on any surveillance cameras anywhere. If she was seen, and also her activities for that night, are they confirmed, definite, and is there a firm timeline, or is there varying information about what she may have been doing and when she was doing it?
There's a pretty accurate timeline, and this is what I'll be discussing when I get down there with law enforcement to kind of fill in any questions I have in that timeline, as well as, be provided information that, they can't afford right now to be public, so I can come up with an effective plan. And I'm hoping to start connecting some of the dots and working in the area, of her not only her last known whereabouts, but in a general area of moving around in that area, in the whole. I mean, that there's probably quite a few miles of areas that are interested, not only to probably investigators, but to myself as well. Being born from that area and know that area, I already have some areas I want to go to without even knowing, I don't even need to know anything about her case, and I have areas that I want to focus on. I'm
let me ask you this again, as we talked about a few minutes ago. Mr. Perry kind of jumps out as the term person of interest. Have you heard anything? Are there any others? Any other information you've heard about enemies or threats from other people, that type of thing? Or is it
former ex-wives, perhaps, that keep popping up, or trying to come forward with information? Has that happened?
No, I'm not going to be the bad guy and point fingers at him, because so many times people do point fingers at, and it looks really bad on certain people, and, I'm going to leave that to the investigators. My main concern is getting good, accurate information of her last known whereabouts and working from that and trying to locate her, because that's first and foremost important. The investigators know what they know, have what they have. I'm not really interested in that per se right now.
Because you have two states really to cover. I mean, isn't it? It's Florida and New York. He left, Florida. He could have gone to New York in transporting. So you've got kind of a double effort here with covering all your bases.
Yeah,
it's not just a one state.
The good thing about it is we're going to be in New York searching for Brian Sullivan at the end of the month in May. So, I will be able to, bring teams over from that if I have areas, to find in New York as well. But I really, think whatever happened to Kelly, happened that night, and I don't think she's real far from the area. That's what my focus is going to be right now until I get down there and something else is told or I discover something differently. My area of focus right now is Florida and the immediate area and, within several miles of that immediate area.
Does weather play a part in this? Because there's been some storms since she's gone missing. Does that hinder your search efforts with, high winds and being able to locate someone when there's been so much volatile weather in a short period of time?
The water, I don't think is going to be a hindrance, unless you're working in drenching rain or what have you. I think sometimes the water can intensify scent for dogs, but as far as, winds, that's always something to take in consideration. And temperatures, you just have to utilize the portions of the day that you can and work, and make sure you're always, careful with your winds, to give every opportunity for the canines that we'll be using. But we'll also have ground support as well, and, so we'll have a backup for the canines. And, but, the weather is always something you have to take in consideration, but we can always work around it. The one good thing about this time of year is it stays light, until about 8 o'clock. And so you can work early in the mornings, and if you have to take a couple hours break in the day while the humidity, and Florida rains every day around between 2 and 3 o'clock kind of thing, and it cools everything off and kind of intensifies things, and then you can go right back out and work again. So, I'm very familiar with the weather there, and if anything, the hottest part of the day is when that thunderstorm will come rolling in, kind of drench everything real good, and then it dries out very quickly, and that actually aids the dogs.
So you have an area that you're going to concentrate on, and with the team that you have that you're calling in from all over the country, basically, to go and eliminate space. Talk real briefly about, the importance of eliminating space in a search and why it's so important?
Well, why it's so important is because, you have to start somewhere. And, and as soon as you begin searching, you're already eliminating, space as far as where that person is not. And the whole concept of search is to, clear areas as you move along, and hopefully that you come to the right area that, you can find that person. And it also helps investigators because they can eliminate theories or things that have been told or tips that have been called in that, a lot of times they just don't have the resources or they can't run out on every single tip, but it helps clear, this off the agenda and they can move forward in their investigation and look at other areas or what have you. So, eliminating space in any search it's successful. A lot of people always say, well, you didn't find anything, your search wasn't successful, but we look at it differently. We look at it as that we've cleared more area that the person isn't, so we have been successful. We still haven't maybe got to that area that the person is, but we know where that person is, and that's just as important because, you have to start, filling up the blocks, if you will, and that's one of the main goals. And I think that if you try hard enough and continue, and we will we'll return as many times as we have to, but I can tell you that, we're going to hit the ground running on May 5th, and we're not leaving there, until probably May 16th or so, depending on, we might stay longer if we're needed, and we don't have, success as far as a recovery, but we will return, but we're going to be down there a good long time, and I'm hoping to get a lot of areas searched.
Monica, Q handles cases that are sometimes years or even decades old.
Yes.
Now, a case like this, it's 5 weeks or so. Are there any downsides? It seems like it would be all up because it's current, memories are fresher and all that kind of thing. Are there any downsides when you have a case that's really this current, or is it the best possibility, for search and recovery?
I think we're at the best advantage right now in everything. Of course, I hate talking to the family or the average community as well. But I mean, right now, if there's any signs of her, you can trace animal activity a lot better. You can look to your skies. That can always give you a lot of signs as well. There's a lot of people out. Mother's Day weekend is coming up, and there'll be a lot of people out on boats. There'll be a lot of people, just out in park areas or whatever. So, between that activity and us searching, I just try to remain positive, and I think we'll definitely have luck on our side. And like I said, it's the perfect time of year. It's not way too hot for dogs yet down in Florida. It's just everything is at our advantage, and if we don't find her, we're just not in the right place. But at least we'll know what places she's not, and that's what we're focusing on right now. We're just going to remain hopeful that we do, we're able to find her and bring her back to her family, and Lauren and her sister and mother and father and everybody else that love her. She has a lot of friends in Florida, a lot of people worried sick over her. And it's been a very big stress on the family being far, so far distance. They don't feel like they're ever doing enough because they're not right there, and they feel like they're stuck. And I understand that. It's very hard on families that are long distance with a missing person.
Lauren, did you want to say something?
I was just agreeing with her. And thanks for mentioning that, because it does seem like sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. So it's hard because we are, at least I can speak for myself, that I am doing everything that I can, when I can, of course, when you're put in a situation like this, you don't even know where to start. And that's kind of like where I am still. So it's just the needing the guidance and the push to go in the right direction. So, and, it's really been a lot of Donna's persistence that Kelly's friend Donna in Florida has really been the one that, she's the one that called Q Center in the first place, and I'm so thankful for that, because just the grief of what's going on, it's hard to even, for me, myself, it's hard to even think of where to go, so. it's just good. I'm sorry.
And how's your mom doing?
She's doing okay. You know, we're trying to stay positive and, you know, just have a good perception of all of this, and we just have hopes that she's going to be found and whoever did this to her is going to go away.
Vito, in this kind of a case where you've got the person who lives both in Florida and New York, is it difficult for an investigation or an ongoing investigation to kind of go between states?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the statements from the Pinellas investigators, they're finding the case totally frustrating. I mean, the man can go any place he wants to go right at this moment, and that's the difficult part. You know, obviously finding her is the big step, of course. And, you know, like the people say, some people even on our blog, but the people on the shows, well, why don't they just arrest him? There's nothing to arrest them on. If they arrested every man that had a horrible relationship with his wife who has taken off or disappeared, they'll take thousands of guys off the street, okay? So there's nothing to arrest him on. So it doesn't work like that, like we hear on some of the shows. Well, he did it. And like Monica says, we can't say that. Now, obviously, if I'm sitting at the detective bureau working on the case, you know, he's one of the first ones we're looking at. But, you know, we have to find him.
But if you can't, but in this case, you can't find him. He's not popping up. He's in hiding. So maybe there are defensive wounds and different things, you know, that nobody was able to see at the time. So a lot of time was lost when this happened. You've got a timeline that just is not good. And I know that I get criticized every once in a while for my strong stance on these things. But there's so much time that was lost from the 12th to when it was finally reported, when, you know, people started, you know, doing things, but he was already gone.
Yeah,
so you didn't get to see him. Nobody has seen him face, you know, right away when this happened. And I think that was the difficulty because he took off so quickly. The last thing that you hear is an argument, according to the neighbors downstairs, and then that's it. And that's the last person to see her. But nobody, again, sees his appearance. So, yes, everybody is until proven guilty, everybody, and even in my book. But in this case, because there are so many of these, so much time is lost at the beginning, just like Monica and the Q Center's going in and doing the search for her. You know, right at the beginning when these things happen, immediately more things have to take place immediately. And I know there's a constraint.
They're allowed to do it legally, though, Susan. If they can't
that's right.
They can't just
no,
grab
they can't hold the person.
Right, and you know, take off all your clothes. Let me see if you got any wound marks on you.
I mean, it's frustrating when the person takes off and all these things happen and it's difficult. We are out of time. The Q Center, if you have any information, the number to call for tips or any information on this case or any case on the Q Center, please call 910-232-1687. Monica Quezon. If people also want to help and volunteer, while you're down there, offer anything, bottled water, food, will they call this number as well to offer their services to get them down to you down in Florida while the search is going on?
Absolutely, they can do that. They can also reach us through our website, which is www.ncmissingpersons.org anytime.
Lauren Rothwell, thank you. Our prayers are with you.
Thank you.
And you know, please keep us touch, and you are in such wonderful hands, and I can say that for a fact because they are one of the best organizations, the only ones in the country. Thank you to the Crime Wire team, our Director of Research, Kim Colton, Public Relations team at ImaginePublicity.com. Tune in next week while we dissect, analyze crimes, cases that interrupt and wreak havoc for families looking for answers and seeking justice.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Crime Wire. We always welcome your support and value you as our guests. If you would like your case to be featured on Crime Wire, email us at thecrimewire@gmail.com. Or to hear a rebroadcast of tonight's show, go to www.crimewire.blogspot.com. Turn on the volume at your computer and the show would automatically play.
Remember, we ensure that your voices will be heard. When there is nowhere else to turn, visit our website at www.crimewiresite.com. God bless from the Crime Warrior team, Vito Colucci Jr., Denny Griffin, Tom Shamshak, and Susan Murphy Milano. Thank you and good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.